In this video, I'm going to show you how to fix a door that might not be closing so good. This is Rudy from the Home Improvement channel with another video showing you how to fix things around the house. If you're a subscribed member to my community, then welcome back. If you're new to this channel, consider clicking that subscribe button below, and please like this video if it was helpful for you. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive right in. Now, if you notice the door at the top here, we've got a smaller gap here than we do on this side. And when you open and close the door, it's hitting right in this area right here. And that's obviously a problem. Also, I don't know if you can tell, but this door, you can't tell on the camera, but it's hitting the doorstop right here before the lock actually will engage. It's not showing on the camera right now, but this door has a little bit of a warp in it. See, I have to push it to get it to close. I'll show you what I'm talking about with that here in just a few minutes, but right now we're going to concentrate on this gap right here. Now, there's a couple of reasons that this could have happened. One, whoever put the door in put it in crooked, and they didn't square it in the opening when they would, before they put the casing on. Now, yeah, you could take all the casing off and straighten the door and do it that way, but that's going to take a lot of time. You got to recaulk everything, all the way around on both sides of the door. So we probably don't want to go that route because there's a much easier way to fix this. If this door was fine when you first moved in the house and then all of a sudden one day it started doing this, well, probably somebody might have been hanging on the doorknob like this and maybe bent the hinges or pulled them loose or something like that. We want to take a look at this top hinge. Possibly the screws came loose, so we can check these and make sure, because if the screws are loose, it'll cause the door to sag and hit in that corner I showed you a minute ago. Oh, there's one that's stripped, so that's no good. I got a fix for that. That's pretty good. And that's pretty good. Okay, so for the screw that's stripped, this isn't the problem, by the way, but this is a problem that you might want to address. Take this one out. Now, if it isn't too bad, this one is kind of stripped kind of bad, you can put a toothpick in the hole and then put the screw back if it's not too bad. But since this one is kind of bad, let me get a little bit bigger of a screw. Now, when you use a bigger screw, you might want to make sure that you can find one with a head that's about the same size. This is a number 10 screw, but if this isn't big enough either, you might have to go to a number 12, and then what's going to happen is when you tighten that screw down, it's going to stick out. See how these are kind of flush? You don't want that screw sticking out, so what you can do if you use a bigger screw is get a drill bit that matches the screw head size that you're using and drill this out just a little bit bigger. Make sure you don't go through the hinge. Just kind of taper the hole like they got it here for the screw to recess in there, and that should take care of that so that it's flush again. But this screw is just a little bit bigger than the one that was in there, so it might not tighten up either. Let's see how this goes. It's questionable. It's almost tight, but not quite. So this is what I was talking about with the toothpick. Just put a toothpick in the hole, just like so, and kind of break it off flush. All right, and just leave that in there. So now I had to use a bigger screw plus a toothpick because the hole was just no good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Another thing you can do is take one of these screws out, namely this one. Don't take these two out because you'll just hit drywall. So if you take this screw out right here and replace it with a longer screw, that will try to suck the door frame over a little bit more towards the wall. So I'm using about a 3-inch screw right here, and I'm going to angle it slightly in towards the 2x4 so it makes sure to grab something. And let's see how this goes. That's about it. You don't want to make that too tight because you might wind up breaking that off in the wall, and if that happens, there's going to be a whole lot of sadness. All right, here we go. Yeah, it helped a little. Now it won't close because remember I told you the door had a little warp in it. See, I got to push the door Yeah, it's better, but still, we got the same problem. It did help, and if you want to leave it there and that's good enough, the door closes, you can. But if you're a little bit of a neurotic like I am, you're going to want that gap. So what you're going to want to do is knock the pins out of the hinges. Now you can use a couple of different methods to do that. One is I have this nifty little punch right here that you can kind of push it under there and then hold it, and it uses that to pull it out, which is pretty nice. Or you can, I'm just going to pretend this is a regular punch, or you can use a regular punch and punch it out. If you have a 3-pin door, you're going to want to pull the middle pin out as well, because what will happen is I'm going to tweak this hinge a little bit, and the middle one is going to be in a bind. So you're going to want to adjust both hinges. Okay, so as you can see here, the hinge is terribly misaligned. Here's the middle hinge, it's misaligned as well, not as bad. So what I've done is, as you can tell here, the gap at the top looks fairly good. So that's how far off those hinges are. What I did was I stuck a pair of long-nosed pliers turned up on their side in the corner of the door right there to hold the door in place so that I could see just how much I needed to bend these hinges. So what you're going to want to do is take a crescent wrench like this and just kind of make sure you identify which one of these goes to the door, right? It's this one with the 3. And just take a crescent wrench and kind of tighten it up on there a little bit and just tweak it. Don't worry about scratching the door. We've got a pretty good gap back here where the crescent wrench is not going to hit the door. And just take this and kind of bend it so that it lines up, right? Pretty close. Right there-ish. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the middle. This one won't be as far. This one just needs a little tweak. Yeah. Okay, so we did have a little mishap here. When I was tweaking that, it pulled the screws loose out of the door. Normally, I would do this in a vise. I would take the hinge apart and take the 1/2 out to the vise. Or many of you don't have a vise that's bolted down to a bench. That's why I was showing it this way. But yeah, the vise is better because you'll avoid that situation. But I just replaced the screws the same way that I showed you earlier, and it took care of the problem. So it's not an issue. So go ahead and just drive the pins back in. And as you can see here on the first try, because I propped the door up where it needed to go, I've got my gap pretty consistent, and we're closing real nice, but we still have the issue. Okay, so remember I said it was coming in contact up here in this corner first, and the bottom is the one that's sprung out a little bit because the door is warped. So I would just take a piece of wood. This may not be thick enough. If it's not, if this may require some trial and error, and just put it here, kind of like so, or even this way would be even better, and close the door on this and leave it like that overnight. You'll probably have to make that a little bit thicker just so that you can put a lot of pressure on the door to, tweak it back. But that's the idea, is just to, and if this was at the bottom contacting the frame first, then you would put something at the bottom and hold it in place and then push the door closed while that's tweaking overnight, and that should take care of your problem. Thanks for watching.